Hey everyone, yes, I am doing a voiceover this time. I was about to film my camera, but I decided to do a little change up a little bit. So I'm going to review some old movies or films that came out like years ago. I would like to do like a voiceover, so just discuss my thoughts and my overall opinion, go in depth in certain films on certain movies. So I'm going to try to test this one out. And of course, I will be talking about the Captain America movies, this one. So this is my very first voiceover review. So let's see how it goes. As we all know, Captain America Brave New World is set to release this next week coming up. So I thought I was talking about the very first Captain America movie that came out 2011, and that is Captain America, the First Avenger, directed by Joe Johnston. This is the fifth installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe film franchise, and this is part of Phase 1, which leads into the Avengers film that came out just a year after this. So, the plot of this movie is we see Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, who is the very first volunteer to gain the Super Soldier Serum and becomes American frontline hero Captain America as he goes up against an army called Hydra, led by Johann Schmidt, that he wants to use the Tesseract for world domination. This movie is very, very underrated in my opinion because a lot of people just sees this as, very overlooked, or just no one talks about it as much because how people talk about Winter Soldier and Civil War. But for me personally, I think the First Avenger is super underrated and underappreciated because I think this film has a lot of stuff good going for it. Now, this is not a perfect movie. It definitely has its issues with its flaws, and there are some stuff in there I could have done a little bit better in hindsight. But for majority of the film, after rewatching it, I would say I actually liked it. I think it's definitely one of the most underrated films of the MCU. I think it definitely gets too much flack. It does give a little bit more better as, post Endgame. It definitely looked back on it. I think everyone's starting to look at it as more appreciation ways. But let's just get to the review. And of course, I've got a lot of things to say about this film. Now, let's start off with the cast, especially with Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, aka Captain America. Now, Chris Evans, when he was cast back in, I think it's 2009 or 2010, when they start announcing he's going to play Captain America, I remember going like, wait a minute, Chris Evans? I think most reactions was like, wait, he's playing Captain America? No, he's too funny or too, we can't take him straight or anything like seriously with him, but I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I would say Chris Evans in this role, he was really good. I really liked him in the role. I think it's not his best role he's done as Captain America. I think the sequels, he got a lot better because I think he's got more comfortable with it, but for majority of it, I think he did his best here. I think he played the character very well, and I think I really liked his character, how he's written and how he's portrayed in this film, because his character is basically him, before he got the Super Soldier Serum or pre-Super Soldier Serum, as basically he is trying to enter this army. He wants to serve his country because it's set during World War II, so it's basically Second World War. He wants to serve his country, and he gets rejected so many times due to he's too skinny, or he has asthma, or he has law problems, so he can't go in. But one thing I like about Steve Rogers' character, he wants to serve his country. He wants to, serve his country, do what he wants to do. He doesn't want to give up. He wants to, just he wants to be a good man in the army. He just, as Dr. Earthstein says, not a perfect soldier, but a good man. That's what he does. He wants to stand up for what is right and also for his country, and that's why I really love Chris Evans as Captain America. He's probably the best thing going for it. And of course, you do see him grow as a character throughout this film, and see him, becoming Captain America. This is his journey from, a pre-super soldier leads up to him becoming the iconic American superhero, the First Avenger himself, which I actually adored a lot ever since post-Endgame. Looking back on his journey from there to Endgame, it's just, a big, massive, epic journey for him. It's a great arc for his story, his character. And of course, his friendship with Bucky Barnes. Bucky Barnes, played by Sebastian Stan, who's done a great job here. And Bucky in this film, he doesn't get much character development as much, but he definitely set up as a character. And of course, yes, Bucky gets killed off, quote unquote killed off, but he actually survives, because we all know where this is going to. If you're a Marvel fan, if you're a mainstream audience, well, do apologise, I spoiled that bit, but you know where his character goes from there, which I do really like. And of course, his friendship with Steve is absolutely great here because Bucky gets to the army, he's got the girls around him, especially he's going his double date with his girls. And of course, Bucky is standing up for this guy who's bullying him at the movie theatre, which I absolutely enjoyed. And of course, we do get a good moment of their friendship. And of course, just see how things go. It's a very good friendship, and I do felt it there. There wasn't a whole lot, but I do think you get enough of that. You can understand their friendship and how it goes. Even the sequels, they do develop on that. It's such a good development of friendship, and I always admire that with Steve and Bucky, which I absolutely love with. And of course we meet Dr. Abraham Erskine, who is played by Stanley Tucci. Stanley Tucci is a very good actor. Whatever movie he's in, I'll watch him because his performance is always good. Even if the movie is not the best, I can always admire and appreciate his performance. He put his heart and soul into. And basically he recruits Steve Rogers into the army, and of course he became his second subject, if you want to count Red Skull as a failed subject of the super soldier serum, which we'll get to in a moment. But his character, he's only in the first half of the film, but he definitely got some good moments, especially having a chit chat about how he made the super soldier serum. And of course, he's a German scientist, basically. And of course, he gave the super soldier serum to Johann Schmidt, aka the Red Skull. And of course, well, it did work, but it gained like a side effect, and of course, serum wasn't 100% ready. So it does add a few things there to the story and the character of Red Skull we'll get to in a moment. And of course, we do have him interacting with Steve, and of course, just having a chit chat in the base, or not the army camp base, which I thought that was really good. Of course, another character we'll have to introduce is Hayley Atwell as Agent Peggy Carter, or Peggy Carter, which she's probably the most fan favourite of the MCU franchise. Peggy Carter is a strong-headed woman, and she's very kick-ass woman. She's definitely one of the best female characters of the MCU. And of course, Steve Rogers, ends up falling in love with her a little bit, because that's basically his love interest in the movie. Peggy does kind of warm up to him a little bit. He asks him questions, especially in the car, where Peggy says, "What are you waiting for?" And Steve replies, the right partner, which I actually really like the chemistry between them, because you knew they're going to be falling in love very soon, and of course they do develop that romance, and of course you do see Peggy start to care to Steve, and he starts to be more interested in him throughout the years of World War II, lead up to Steve's sacrifice, which I absolutely enjoyed. I think the romances here is really good. I totally ship them as boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband and wife type of thing. You do see it there, and I absolutely enjoyed. The other characters we do have in the army, we do have Chester Phillips, played by Tommy Lee Jones. Fun addition. He's not the greatest character, but he still has his moments. And of course, you do have all these other characters in the film. There's so many great characters in there, even though they don't get much development. And of course, you do see them. It's just one of those films you can see these characters. They're really fun to watch. And Tommy Lee Jones as Chester Phillips is probably a fun job. He's just play that straight face army guy. He's really good at it, especially the one scene where he was talking about you'll be the very first breed of super soldiers, and he looks at Steve and he kind of gives that look, because how he's just saying, "Oh, he's too skinny," or there's so many moments in there. His character just made me laugh. But I will always say Peggy Carter, I think she's very endearing, such a loving character. You see her join the army, and of course helping Steve to do his missions, which is something about these characters you just knew you're just going to fall off straight away. And I like to say this now, I never really talk about is the World War II setting, because the World War II setting in this film is, very well realised. It's got this amazing, just the way it feels. It feels like you're set in the 1940s, the way people talk, the way people dress, the cars, the buildings, everything about it, it just looks so authentic. And I think this film really give a good, 1940s action thriller movie with World War aspects, with a Marvel style, which Marvel does try to do some new takes on this genre of the films, which I do admire and appreciate. It has that action-adventure film to it. And Joe Johnston, who directed this film, is, for what he did, I think he did a good job. I think he definitely gives that, feel, like adventure to it. He has that right style, especially towards the Jumanji films. But even though the first Jumanji movie, Robin Williams, and of course directed The Rocketeer, which I did watch, which is a pretty good film, by the way. It's a pretty solid film. Very great classic, serial. But that being said, that's a whole other thing. But he does have a good feel to it. And of course, he directed Jurassic Park 3. Not the best film, but I have a soft spot for it. But again, that's another thing. But Joe Johnston does a good job here directing this film. He does a good job, and he's definitely one of the, I wouldn't call him the best directors, but he gives a really good, authentic job to making this film. He definitely stands on his own. And of course, they were talked about the villain, the Red Skull, played by Hugo Weaving. Hugo Weaving does a good job here, and his makeup on the face of the Red Skull face, which is really good. You don't really see it till the second act all the way up to his climax of the film, which when you do see it, it's kind of got that mixture of practical makeup, but also with digital in the nose to make it look a skull, which I actually do like. And his motivations are pretty straightforward. Basically, he wants to use the Tesseract to use for world domination, to destroy half the world, to prove that he's a powerful being, which the motivations are there, but it's kind of a little bit rushed in certain bits because we can't have enough time to process what he's doing, what his clear motivations are. It's there, which it is there, but I wish they could have done a little bit more of it and we can understand where he's coming from, why he's doing this. And of course, the Tesseract is one of the Infinity Stones, which we all know where it leads to in the Infinity Saga, the Marvel's Infinity Saga era, which we all know where that goes. If you've seen most of the films we lead up to that, you know where it goes. And because we have Dr. Zola, played by Toby Jones. Toby Jones is another solid, great actor, a very likeable actor. He does a lot of good stuff here. Dr. Zola is a German scientist who works for the Red Skull and Hydra. And see where his character goes, and you all know where it goes if you follow the films. He's definitely one of the most, fun side villains. He's not the best side villain, but when you do see him, he does have his, enjoyable, entertaining moments, especially with the Red Skull, and I actually really, really enjoyed, and I have a lot of fun with that one. And as far as the action scenes go, the action is a lot of fun. There's some really good fun action scenes, and I think it's well directed by Joe Johnston. There's so many iconic moments, especially when Steve chases the guy who stole the last bit of the serum, of the super soldier serum, which I thought was really fun, enjoyable chase scenes. And of course, Steve has to go save Bucky and the Howling Commandos, which the Howling Commandos, they're really fun characters. There's so many action scenes there, which there's just so many great World War II piece of action, which I absolutely love, especially the climax of the film, where they try to stop Johann Schmidt, and the Hydra soldiers, which I absolutely thought was fun entertainment. It's just good, full-paced action. It doesn't rush anything. It's a good little pace for mostly Marvel fans and, mainstream audience as well, who's never into comic book movies. And of course, I almost forgot another character, Dominic Cooper as Howard Stark, aka Tony Stark's father, which honestly, seeing Howard Stark at his young age, he's got that Robert Downey Jr., persona, like Tony Stark behaviour with the woman and his genius ideas and his technology, especially with the flying car when he's at the Stark Expo, which is referenced back in Iron Man 2. If you've seen Iron Man 2, you know what I'm talking about. Dominic Cooper's Howard Stark, he's a good choice. He's definitely got that Tony Stark or Howard Stark behaviour to like father, like son. And I do really like Captain America's costume. He does look really cool. Maybe not the most accurate, but it does look pretty solid as a World War II piece costume. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Alan Silvestrio's score for this movie is just, very, very good. Especially the iconic Captain America theme with the whole da 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 da. It's kind of like it's trying to say the theme of Captain America, Captain America, Captain America, Captain America. Da, da, da. Well, the pacing in this film is really good. The pacing is really there. But I will admit, I think the second half when Steve Rogers got the Captain America costume on and he's just in montages throughout most of the action scenes, I think, because I try to montage a few things in there because they get enough time to see what Steve's missions, because it felt rushed a little bit, which I get why they did it, because they wanted to get Captain America into the first Avengers film. If this film could have been stretched out a little bit more, I know they wanted to make it over too long, they wanted to keep it short and simple, but at the same time, I wish they could have extend this film a little bit longer. It would have gained a bit more appreciation. But again, I see why they did it. At the same time, I wish they could have done it a little bit more, which I wish they could have. Probably the most heartbreaking scene is basically at the end, after Captain America defeats Johann Schmidt on this big jet plane that's going to try to fly over to New York to blow half the world up. And of course, Steve has to crash land the plane into the ice, into this cold water ice. And of course, says goodbye to Peggy, just in case he never makes it out alive. And of course, he promised her the dance that he wants to promise her with. And of course, what do you know, Captain America sacrificed himself by destroying the plane, but also thought he would be dead, but he was sleeping for 70 years. And of course, it cuts to 70 years later, where he sees Steve Rogers in now the present day, and he wakes up and he sees this agent comes in and he thinks he's still in the 1940s, but he's not until he hears the radio. He knows that game that was on from 1941, I think he said, 1941 or 1942, I think. I could be wrong, but please correct me wrong if I said that wrong correctly. And of course, he does realise that he's not in the time he is. He's actually in the present day. I think it's 2011 or 2012 era, where Nick Fury is recruiting all the Avengers. And of course, we do see Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson. He just gives Steve the heads up on what's going on, that he's been asleep for almost 70 years. And it sees Steve's expression on his face is just realising, I've been asleep for almost 70 years and now I'm in the present day of New York City. And of course, he turns to the camera, or kind of like looking from a far distance, and Nick Fury says, "Are you going to be okay?" And of course, Steve says, "Yeah, I had a date." And it cuts to black. And of course, you do get the post-credit scene, which is basically a little teaser for the Avengers. That's mostly it. But as far as this movie goes, Captain America First Avenger, I think it's a very, very underrated, underappreciated film. Of course, I think this film has gained a lot of appreciation over the years. And if you guys are one of those people who are maybe not too keen on this movie or not really a big fan of it, but I would say give this film another watch. I think you'll find something surprising about this film. Yes, the flaws are still there, like the pacing. I wish they could have done things a little bit more. It could have spanned more action scenes with Steve Rogers during the World War. Red Skull could have developed him as more as a good villain. Well, he is a solid villain, but if you could have done some more development with him, you would have like one of the best MCU villains of all time. That being said, Captain America First Avenger, I think it's a really solid movie. Very underrated, very underappreciated, and I would say it's a lot better than you guys remembered. I'm going to give Captain America, the First Avenger, an A-. Guys, comment down below and tell me, what do you think of Captain America First Avenger? Do you love it? Do you like it? Do you think it's alright, or do you hate it? Whatever the case is, comment down below and tell me what you think. And of course, guys, until next time, see ya!